Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 36. Yes, this Creating Your Career with Marla J. Alberti is 3 years old. Woohoo! I have been doing this for 3 years. Is it perfect? No, but I love it. It's providing content, it's providing information. My vision and my goal with creating this talk show was to show the world that you can do it too. If there's a career that you desire to do, I am providing the platform for others to speak on that particular career, to give you the tips and the tools that you need to succeed in creating that career for yourself. It is possible. It can be done. Whatever you believe you can achieve. That is not just a cliche saying. It is real. And I thank you everyone who has watched every video, watched one video, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notifications button. It means the world. And I am so happy to be on this journey with you guys and excited to talk to you and interview today a guest that we've had before. This is my cousin, Erin Kendrick. Before I bring her on, I'm definitely going to read her bio first, but she is phenomenal. I don't say that about many people, but she really is a phenomenal human being. She was episode number 4 when I first started out. So you can go back and watch that episode so you can see where she was at then and where she is now and where she's continuing to go. It is phenomenal. So let's go ahead and jump in and read the bio. Of course, this episode is brought to you by my website, www.truthspeakscoaching.com, which is the website for the Business Truth Speaks group. Please, of course, the link's down below. Please go out there, subscribe to the website, get your monthly newsletter, as well as subscribe to the blog, theworkingwoman.co. Subscribe to that blog and get your freebies. And look at all the things that I'm doing and check out some of the things I'm doing and ask questions. I'm here. I'm here to be a resource and to provide. I love what I do. I love coaching. I love teaching. I love educating. I just love it all. Okay, so enough about me. Let me read the bio for Erin Kendrick, my awesome artist cousin. Erin Kendrick is an international artist and arts educator from Jacksonville, Florida. Her color-rich acrylic ink-stained works of art and transformative installations seek to inspire a dialogue about contemporary spectatorship and the power of language as it relates to perceptions of and about Black women. After receiving her formal art education training at Florida State University, which was a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Studio Arts in 1999, and Georgia State University, which was a Master of Fine Arts in Drawing and Painting in 2003, she worked for many years as a studio artist and arts educator in Atlanta, Georgia. Although she stepped away from the arts for about 8 years to run her event planning business, E Street Design Company, she returned to exhibiting her art in 2016, which renewed her drive for art making and creating a new body of work. She is currently, and she's going to talk about this more, she is currently the lead visual art instructor at Jacksonville Arts and Music School and teacher artist of Cathedral Arts Project. Having taught at every level, including higher ed, she recently was named the Cultural Counselor of Greater Jacksonville's 2019 Art Educator of the Year Award. I was there for that one. In 2018, she was voted Best Visual Artist, Best Art Exhibition, and Best Arts Educator in Folio Weekly's Best of Jack 2018 poll. She has won several grants, including the Jackie Cornelius Art Residency Grant, the Lift Every Student Artist in Residence Grant, and the Community First Art Foundation Art Ventures Individual Artist Grant. Woo! That's a mouthful. Erin maintains a studio for her artwork at Cork Arts District. Her current initiative right now that she's working on is Artist Types, helps practicing artists with career advancement by providing workshops, mini courses, and templates for CV writing, artist statements, and proposals, and more. As an educator, she lives by Elbert Herbert's quote, and it is a powerful one. Art is not a thing, it is a way. Help me to welcome Erin Kendrick. Well, welcome, Erin. So happy to have you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great today. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. I'm wonderful. It's 3 years. So excited to have you. This has been a wonderful journey for me during this time. So they've already heard about the bio. So let's jump right in. What is going on? Where are you at now? From episode 4, 2.5 years ago, to episode 36.
Congrats to you.
The 3-year mark. A lot has happened in that time frame. So talk to the audience and tell everybody where you're at, and these aspiring artists that are listening.
At this point, I have just done pretty well in terms of, I'll say, gaining some credibility as an artist in like my local art scene and in some more sort of like national and international conversations, we'll say. I've really made a lot of progress in terms of teaching also. And I teach in a few different places. And I also built a teaching model for professional artists myself called Artist Type. So I've been pretty busy just sort of building platforms and trying to expand my artwork and get it out to as many places as possible, show a lot more nationally and internationally, and then just keep kind of building from there.
Okay, this is awesome. So let's break some of that down. So talk to us about the national and international. I know about it, but tell the world what's going on with the international.
So my goal kind of going into this year and sort of on the back end of last year was to show a lot more nationally. I had quite a few shows locally, and I really wanted to start to show more and just sort of like expand my reach in terms of people knowing who I am as an artist. So I really set out to have some shows in some different places. So I was able to show in Texas. I was able to show in New Orleans. I've gained collectors in different places. So California, Maryland, a lot of that's been happening also. I've gained some collectors in different places. I have a show coming up in New York, actually. It'll be my first New York show a little bit later this spring. And I was fortunate enough to be one of the 16 artists who participated in our local museum here. It's called the Ritz Theater and Museum. I was fortunate enough to be one of the 16 artists whose work was chosen to be a part of a partner exhibition that we had with the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan Museum of Art in South Africa, in Port Elizabeth, South Africa. So my work has been there for a while now, for a few months. You know, it's pretty much stuck at this point due to like COVID and everything. So it's been pretty cool to be able to change in my bio that, you know, I'm an international artist now that I've started to show in some other places.
That is, I think that is so phenomenal. Sometimes we get stuck here in the United States. Oh, it's just us. But to be international, to have your work shown across the globe, because there's other people in other places. The United States is cool. Yeah, United States, but let's have our work in Africa. Let's have our work in Australia. Let's have our work in China. Let's have our work in Taiwan. Let's have it all over the place. What type of feeling has that brought to you?
It really just sort of makes you think a lot bigger. I'm hoping that the show that I had in New Orleans, like the plan is hopefully for it to go to Tokyo maybe. So I'm hoping something like that happens. And it really just makes you start to think bigger. And it really, in terms of like the work and like the content in my work, it makes you think more globally. Like the things that I talk about and things that I address in my work tend to start very sort of close to me, tend to start very local, what's happening around me. Right. But as you start to show in different places, you start to kind of take on different perspectives. So the work broadens in that sense also. So I'm just really excited to see how far I can take it.
Oh, I hope you heard that, audience, that she said that began to make her think and feel bigger, dream bigger. And that's what it's about. You don't have to stay local. You can become an international artist. And I didn't even know about Tokyo. I just said Japan. I just said that. I didn't even know about that. So look at that. Law of attraction. Look at that. So that is phenomenal. So let me ask this. So let's talk about when you just said that spun the question for me. When you mentioned about local and how you kind of been painting local. What is artists I've noticed have their own niche of where things that they paint in. So talk a little bit about your niche and what exactly you're painting.
For me, subject matter wise, I really stick very close to the narratives of Black women, not so much women of color, not so much people of color, but Black women very specifically. And I really sort of try to create narratives about like our human. Historically, we get sort of painted in popular culture, in the media and things like that, as very sort of like specific ways of being, angry, all these kind of things that we've all heard of a million times. So I really sort of try to work through our humanness, and I really try to create experiences for the viewer where the viewer really has less control in terms of who they think that person is. So I really sort of try to alter the physical space of the viewer. So you're not just standing in front of a painting and deciding whether you like a painting. Like you may be having some other experience where I alter the space, or, there's something that the painting is specifically telling you to do. So something like that makes you get beyond just staring at a painting and just deciding whether or not you like a painting. And hopefully in that, it's sort of encouraging more empathy. And with everything going on right now, I would say I'm really kind of getting past the empathy thing. Mm-hmm. Like we're sort of getting beyond that. Like we're getting beyond asking for people to care. So when I'm thinking when I'm thinking more globally now, and I'm thinking, bigger now, it's like I'm kind of at the point where it's like I'm sick of asking you to care about things that you should care about. So you'll start to see that shift in the work as well.
Whew, that's a lot. I can unpack that, but y'all know I can talk during the talk show, so I'm not going to talk a lot. Because I can unpack that one. So that was really, really good. And just to give you guys context, for those who may be watching this 2 years from now or whenever, the time frame we're in right now, 2020, not a good year, starting off with Kobe's death. Then COVID, this came out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere. And then we've had racial tension that has blown up out of the water with Mr. George Floyd's passing and others passing of Black men and women. So that's where we're at right now if you're looking at this in the far future at the time frame. But I do want to talk a little bit. There's so much I can unpack about that. But I love how you said change the narrative for the viewer looking at it, meaning that they don't have to, it's really narrowing their narrative so they can look at it for what it is. They don't have to guess. They don't have to figure it out. Why is that so important?
It's not even that. It's not even about they don't have to guess. It's a very specific, intentional telling of what I want you to know. So it comes from the theory of the oppositional gaze, which is something written by Bell Hooks. Like it's her theory.
Yes.
And it has to do with like looking back, staring back. Like we've always been, and it was specific to the media. Like we've, Black women, Black people in general have always been sort of subject to what the media told everybody we were. So the oppositional gaze is this sort of just like direct sort of staring back and saying, no, I'm not this, I am. So it's not about guessing for me. Like the work tends to be very intentional. So I'm not trying to give you clues to guess. I'm trying to tell you exactly who these people are, so.
Oh, that's so deep. And her work, I can definitely say her work stands for that. So let's twist a little bit, because you mentioned earlier about you having different collectors. So those of us who don't know much about art and collecting art, I'm learning more I've always been fascinated with art. I'm not an artiste, but I've always been fascinated with art. I've always wanted to be an art collector, which I am in the process of doing. I understand the value of art. I've read enough about art to understand that art has value, that it is an asset. It is an asset class, people. Asset, not a lot of big liability. Saying that one more time, it's an asset. Okay. Because I need people to get on board with that. All right. So art is an asset. So how, as an artist, are you teaching others to be a collector? Because this is something you and I have talked about on different points. I want to actually put that out there.
Yeah, I think it's a really important thing in larger communities, but most especially in African American communities. Art collecting, a lot of times people's first assumption about art collecting is that it's completely out of reach, Like if a painting's, $10,000, like I can't pay for that, and then the assumption is that all paintings are $10,000, or the assumption is, just the general assumption that it's out of reach and it doesn't seem like something that, you should be into. But it's a thing that you can really start small. It's an investment strategy. You can start with college students' work, because college students become professional artists, become famous artists. And it's really just about respond, because a lot of people are like, well, I don't know how to do it. And it's like, just buy what you respond to, buy what means something to you. And any artist, I would say, maybe I'm wrong, but any artist will negotiate with you, or any artist will create a payment plan for you. So whether the work is $100 or like, $50,000, there's a way to get it paid for. And there's so many different avenues with art collecting, whether it's you buying something that you then put in your house. There are art collectors who buy things specifically to sort of it's almost like building a portfolio. So you're buying this work that's going to gain value over time. And a lot of those collectors just put them in like a warehouse and let them sit there for 30 years, and then they sell them 30 years later for like, quadruple whatever they paid for it. There are some people who also buy to donate to museums. So, I mean, even for you, I would say that would be a great guest on your show, to have an art collector to really talk through the process. So it's something as an artist, as a professional artist, I've had to learn more about in terms of how to interact with collectors, what expectations they should have of me and what expectations I should have of them. So it's been a learning process for me also. The teacher in me has on the radar for myself later to, alongside with my sort of artist types business for professional artists, which mainly just deals with teaching artists how to manage and write and maintain their professional paperwork, CVs, artist statements, things like that. That will eventually lead to also creating a program for like budding collectors, like how to start collecting. So I've really just kind of been doing the work on my end, on the back end, to get the information together so that I can then present it later in sort of a teaching model. Let's say like an online course or something.
No, this is perfect, guys, because that gives everyone, and you're right, I will have someone, an art collector, on, because that's a perfect interview. But this gives you a taste. I kind of want to just put that out to the audience, a taste of, you don't have to have $10,000 to go buy a painting that you like. Like you said, buy what speaks to you. So I love that. So perfect segue. You talked about the teaching. So let's talk a little bit more about, you say you're teaching in various areas. So break some of those down. What are some of those areas you're teaching?
Well, I would classify myself as a teaching artist. So for the most part, that's an independent professional teacher, in the field of art. So up to this point, I don't really work in a school system. I just service school systems. So I've taught for a couple different programs here in Jacksonville. I've taught for Cathedral Arts Project, which is an arts program that services schools that don't have art programs or have like minimal art programs. So we go into the school. For me, I was a resident teacher, so I would go into a school for a certain period of time. So I spent about the last 2 or 3 years at Brentwood Elementary here in Jacksonville. And I've done everything from 10-week residencies to 20-week residencies. And that's really fun because we get to do things that the kids wouldn't normally do. I also teach at Jacksonville Arts and Music School here in Jacksonville, which is an amazing after school program that like really kind of has my heart. And we have kids who come from several different schools. So they come to us from 4 to 6 every day, Monday through Friday. And it's a creative and leadership-based program. So they have art, music, dance, vocal, robotics. We have a Taekwondo program. We have enrichment classes, we have homework help, and we have leadership classes. So it's a great program that the students are as involved as the teachers and instructors and staff are. So that's really sort of like my primary job right now, outside of just being a professional artist. At this point, I am flirting with going back into the school system. It's not a done deal yet because I do love my freedom as a professional artist and a teaching artist. So that's something kind of on the radar for me. And then, of course, like I said, I do online workshops and mainly online workshops now since we don't really do in-person classes anymore. Just helping other professional artists with their professional paperwork.
And that is the artist types.
That's artist types, right.
Okay. So artists coming out the door, let's say they graduated high school or graduated college, what do? What tips would you give this brand new artist and where to get started?
I pretty much would talk to an artist coming out of high school the same way I would talk to an artist coming out of college, the same way I would talk to just like Somebody who's older and decided they wanted to jump into art. It's like, start where you are. Like, you have to find places to show your work if that's your intention. And even in that, you kind of need to decide what kind of artist you want to be. You want to be an artist who sells frequently through galleries. So it's like selling the most important thing to you. Are you an artist who showing work at larger sort of museum and sort of like more critical spaces, if that's more important to you? Are you a commercial artist? You want to just work in service of other people? You know, so you kind of have to figure out what kind of artist you're trying to be to figure out what path you want to take, because there's different requirements for each. But for me, I'm sort of the one in the middle. I'm far more interested in showing in more critical spaces than I am just in like showing in galleries and selling a lot of work. That's not as big of a deal to me. Like, I'm a teacher at all times, so the work for me is always with the intent to like interact with the public, and I want to do that in as many sort of like large critical spaces as possible. So if somebody's on that path, I would say the first thing is you just got to get the work out there. Like, you can't be afraid to show your work. You need to try to get in as many shows as you can, and sometimes that means walking into a coffee shop. If you walk into a place that has artwork on the wall, then you can go ask them, can you show work? Simple as that. And, you know, people can only tell you no. So if they tell you no, go to the next place and just keep trying. You want to try to get yourself on a show schedule, meaning like try to book a few shows out for yourself, because that'll keep you working. Because I work a lot harder when I have deadlines, you know, when I have a show that's coming up. And that's just kind of it. Like, you really have to be your own like social media manager, you know, unless you have the money to pay for somebody else to do that. You have to be your own marketer. You have to be your own accountant. It is running a business, you know. At the end of the day, it is, I sit on one day and I kind of do my money paperwork. I sit on another day and I apply for shows. I spend, you know, a certain amount of days in my studio. So I am running a professional art business. But the first step really is to just start showing your work.
Oh, I love that. So I'm going to end with a cute story. I think you'll find the story cute. But before I end there, I'll talk a little bit about how, because I noticed how you hang with your art community. You guys are so tight. I admire that. I'm big, you know, I'm big on community. I'm big on being around people who lift you up, who inspire you. So talk a little bit about how important community is for you, because you're really big in the art community nationally.
It's an important thing. Being a professional artist can be a very like isolating thing. Like, I spend a lot of hours alone in a studio, or I spend a lot of hours alone in an office, sort of with myself and with my work. And sometimes, you know, I'm fortunate enough to have a studio in a series of 3 buildings that have about 70 different artists in the vicinity, in the buildings. So we really try to interact with each other a lot. You know, if I'm applying for a show that's out there, I'm going to send that same like call for art, which is, you know, what we call when somebody says, hey, there's a show, apply. It's called a call for art. I'm going to send that out to as many people as I can, or I'm going to post it on the place I have a studio is called Cork Arts District. You know, I'm going to post it on the Cork page. Even with like the things that are going on now with all the COVID coronavirus, like any sort of like relief opportunities, because we tend to be in a really strange space. We're sort of gig workers because we're self-employed. So just dealing with the whole sort of like relief, unemployment, all that kind of stuff system has been trying. So anything like that. So we really just lift each other up. We go to each other's shows. We offer critiques to each other. We create like professional development opportunities for each other. And, you know, we pass along jobs to each other that maybe don't fit for us. Because I get asked to do mural all the time. And I'm just not a mural artist. It's just not something I'm really interested in. So, you know, I'm going to get somebody to take that few $1,000s or however much and like pass that along to another artist. So we're just really tight knit. We take care of each other. We're really active in the community, any kind of like government, politics, stuff like that. We stay pretty active in that. We lend our voices. Like, artists have a lot to do with city planning and what, you know, how this city will look as we start to kind of make some shifts in things. You know, some of these Confederate statues are coming down. We have this whole new courthouse here. Artists are a large part of that conversation in terms of how those things look. So I really try to stay on top of that, go to these community meetings, go to city council meetings, things like that. And we just try to bring as many of us along as we can so that our voices get heard.
Oh my God. I just had to just throw that in there. I wanted everyone to hear that. about how important community is and having your supporters with you. When you have your community with you, you're all rising to the top. You're all going together. You should never be at the top by yourself because you did something wrong at that point. So I love it. So I do want to end real quick. And Erin, you're going to get a chance to tell everyone where they can buy your art, how they can reach you. But there's this cute little story. Me and Erin have gone to Atlanta a couple of times. And Erin had me in Atlanta. I forgot what we were in Atlanta for. But we were in Atlanta. She's laughing because she knows what I'm about to say. So we were in Atlanta. And I'm thinking, oh, we're going to go home. It's time to drive home. You know, Atlanta from Jacksonville is about a 5.5 hour drive. You know, 5. I've done it in 4, but you didn't hear me say that. Okay. So I think we're about to go home. It's about 2 o'clock. Erin says, oh, let's go to about 4 or 5 museums.
I mean, you can't miss those opportunities. Sometimes it's the only chance you'll get to see somebody's work in town. And Atlanta is a pretty big art city. So the best thing about that day was, you know, like I discovered my professor's work.
Yes.
I'm going to tell
that part. And I'm so glad we did go. Because I am that. I don't care. It doesn't bother because I like art. So it didn't bother me at all. It was raining. It was nasty. I did not have the right shoes on.
It turned out to be not the best decision.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was a horrible day, guys. It was nasty. It was just ugly. Yeah. But it turned out to be, you know, we had to park kind of far.
Walk in the rain, yeah. And then we drove back in a hurricane. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So, but those are the moments you cherish. And then, like Erin just said, she was able to see a piece of art from her professor who is now deceased, and a professor that she really admired, that really kind of gave her the boost and said, look, if you're serious, let's go. Yep. And so it was a really sentimental moment. And I just wanted to share that story with everyone. Allow life to flow and just let things go in life. So I wanted to share that. So how can people get in contact with you? The links will be below, but how can they purchase your art? How can they know more about artist types? Just tell us all.
For me, everything is at Erin, which is ERIN. ErinIsCreative.co. So Facebook, ErinIsCreative.co. Instagram, ErinIsCreative.co. Twitter is actually artist types. So, you know, /artist types, and it's types with an S. And the types is just basically because I'm talking about the paperwork that you type. I think that's where I am. LinkedIn is under my name. It's under Erin Kendrick. But I'm pretty much on Instagram most of the time, Instagram and Facebook. That's how you can get in contact with me. I do have a website also, which is the same. It's www.eriniscreative.co. That's where you can see like portfolios. You can see what work is available if you're interested in being a collector. You can see like my exhibition history, other interviews and things like that on my website. So that's pretty much how you find me.
Awesome. And guys, all these links will be down below. It is exciting. I'm excited about growing my art collection. I was thinking about that the other day, actually. So I'm really excited about continuing to buy art and learning more about art. So thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been a phenomenal interview. Thank you, Erin. Again, happy 3 years to Truth Speaks, creating your career with this talk show. And we'll see you back next month with another fabulous guest. You know, I always have fabulous people on. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. Bye.